Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm John Dykes, and today I am genuinely delighted to be joined by Lawrence Connolly to talk about Celtic 1, Dundee United 0. Now, if you think that we're sounding a wee bit hoarse, Lawrence, I mean, you had the top off, you were on your knees now 5 minutes ago. Before the game, I said, I'll take 1-0 last minute off somebody's thigh, but I'll tell you what, it's not good for the nerves, is it, mate?
Relief, mate. Elation.
Yeah. But all of the emotions that only Celtic Football Club can provide to you, all in the 190-minute spell. You know, you've got that emotion. You've got the beat on sending off that we'll talk about. You've got the number of chances we missed. And then at the end, Abada scores. And what, by the way, what about the composure of Abada when he brings that ball down?
It's his first touch, isn't it? He gives himself the chance. His first touch is good enough. And
Joe Fulham's talking about his nerves as well.
Oh, mate, nerves. It doesn't come. Imagine me drawing that game. Rangers would have had a lift, wouldn't it?
It's a shift in momentum. You know, it's momentum.
That's got to be a killer. Not only did they lose a last-minute goal, we've scored with minutes left.
Well, I've got it as 90 minutes. We knew that we were going into, obviously, injury time. And I believe, although I've not had time to look at the details, I believe it was a 96-minute equaliser up at Ross County today. So it's all about Celtic, this one. We knew what we were going into at the beginning of the game. We knew that, you know, we've been saying it all season, it becomes cliched, but it was a must-win because we have to start putting that pressure, breathing that pressure down on them. And, of course, going into Wednesday night with a scenario that's very much in your hands, Lawrence, where you can go top of the league and you're not relying on anybody else except yourself. We're 2 points behind. We're 4 goals better off, and we're going into that game on Wednesday night. It was always a must-win, but, I mean, to be able to have that carrot dangling in front of you that, you know what, you're going to go top of the league winning this game, it's huge. But I butted in just as you were talking about Abada. Let's talk about his composure, his finish, and his overall performance this afternoon.
Listen, first half, great. You know, you could tell he was on form, and who was going to go centre forward? You know, it had to be Leo that done it, and it just what a touch. He was unlucky with a header. You know, he just couldn't go over it. A cross into the box and we get somebody on the end of it. You know what I mean? I know Matt Riley, the Dundee United keeper, touched his round the box, but Abada's there and he's got on the end of a cross. Good to see a Celtic forward getting on the end of one. And then the other boy on, takes a touch and just sends us into heaven with that goal, mate. You know, it was just the relief. You know it's lined up for Wednesday. It's now, as you say, in our hands. The team have got to be buzzing after that. Young Ben Doak, I thought he done well when he come on. Yotta, you know,
he was bold
great as well.
He was brave. I mean, even at the end, he should have knocked it back. I'm not going to give him a hard time. He should have knocked it back. If it's nothing each, you're screaming at that.
Aye.
But it showed you a wee bit of confidence that he's willing to take a shot.
10 seconds to go, mate. Yeah, you know, if it's nothing each, you're a bit, but yeah, have a shot with 10 seconds to go. He cut inside the boy well. Some turn of pace. You know,
showing for the ball. You know, we keep going. It sounds basic. That's a 16-year-old kid. And I'd need to check his birthday, but I think he's just turned 16. That's astonishing. If he's just turned 16, then correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in it, but I checked the Celtic Academy when he was on the bench on the website and it said he was 16 at that point. If that's the case, and he comes on and he shows that much willingness to get the ball. I'll give you an example, and I'm not going to start nitpicking in particular Starfelt's performance because I think overall Starfelt, again, was pretty solid right at the back. But there was a moment where James McCarthy's got the ball, and generally when McCarthy gets the ball on, everything slows down because he doesn't have that same intensity of O'Reilly. You know, you see it with O'Reilly, and we'll talk about his performance. And he's looking at Starfelt, who doesn't want to make the run because the ball will be played in front of him onto his left foot. So he doesn't look for it. And you can see McCarthy screaming at him. He eventually comes inside, gets it on his right where he's confident and starts. And that's a bit of an issue, right? Because that's a Swedish internationalist not showing for the ball. Young Ben Doak, every time there was an opportunity, he got into space and he wanted it.
Totally, but listen, Starfelt's a right-hand sided centre-half. We play on the left-hand side. So is it surprising he's deficient on his left foot? No. You know, it's not. But listen, I thought Abada was burning that guy the first half when he was going down the right, but Doak was even better, wasn't he? He was just going by the guy for fun.
You know what? I'm going to say something here, and it's not the elation of the win, but I think in the first half, at half-time, I was looking at my notes. Abada hadn't really done anything wrong. I like when he plays with Alston. They seem to have a good understanding. But second half, switching to the left, still looking dangerous. In terms of a 90-minute or 96-minute performance, that was one of his best performances that he's had for us.
Definitely. He's starting to get some consistency in his game now. But he's, he handles the pressure. He takes that touch well and finishes. Listen, there's other players had opportunities to finish or take touches in the box and didn't manage it. I just thought it was great for us.
We'll come back to Giakoumakis. We'll come back to it.
I thought, Leo Bada, outstanding. Even if he does pick up a yellow card for getting his top off, it is well worth it, isn't it?
There are certain,
the elation of that.
There's certain bookings, Lawrence, that are worth it. That's one of them. The other one was Beaton's first booking. He took it for the team. Mm-hmm. He took down Tony Watt, didn't he? Yep. He took the booking, you get that. But that obviously creates an issue later on in the game, and we'll come to that point as well. I just want to get as many the audience involved as possible. We're only 5 minutes in. I'm already knackered, right? Stephen Sloan, never rest Jota again. Jota comes on. Let's talk about him, right? He comes in. Every time he gets the ball, you think something's going to happen. It's not just the trickery. Sometimes it's the crossing into the box. But my frustration, not with him, but with the way we play, is that crosses and often corners they're not creating enough danger for us, Lawrence.
Who's the target man? I'm not too sure we have one. But Jota, mate, the ball in for O'Reilly, glancing header, Secret's done really well. And
he's a decent keeper. We've said that before. The decent keeper.
But Jota, he's taking two men. They're going to have to shove two out there because he can go to buy the first guy for fun, can't he? They know they need a backup. He just lifts us. He moves the ball quick for us. He's just a star, mate. Hopefully Brendan didn't notice that though.
Well, again, yes, let's hope not, because he did say in his introductory interview, maybe he was led into it, that he has aspirations to play in England. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think he's played 35 games now for Celtic. He's 20 years of age. His return has been tremendous. That's an important goal he scored this afternoon. I'm trying to get some of the response coming out of the comment section. Kyogo's Blimsolls, my bum squeaking was unreal during that game. Thanks for sharing that. Kieran Nolan, wrecked after that game. It does that to you. It wrecks your voice as well, Kieran. And the Vito, Abada. Various exclamation marks after that, quite right. Paul, Dreg, Horn, nail-biting stuff, chewed up to my knuckles. And Owen McGrandles makes a point that there was quite a lot of people waiting to come on this stream there, but they just dropped off prior to us going live, Lawrence. I wonder what that's all about.
Wonder who they could have been.
Yes. Let's look through the performance. At half-time, we're sitting and say to ourselves, well, I don't think Ange's going to make a change at half-time because he's never really that bold. It's not his MO. He makes a change all the way down the left that had been suggested by a few of us. Were you surprised at that, Lawrence, or was it needs must?
Listen, we knew it was a left that needed change. They're surprised they'd done it so early, but, Ange's a man, isn't he? He's got his motor in. We could all say that the left just wasn't working for us. Either Scales or Forrest. Hopefully, Jamesy comes back, but he just looked really slow today, didn't he? He seems to have lost that burst. But
is that just the sharpness? You get to match fitness, right? So you're fit enough to play 90 minutes, right? And all the data will tell you that. But then there is obviously that bit of sharpness, maybe where you're at your optimum, your peak. And is it just the case that he's not quite there yet? And it's just down to games. I mean, we're going into the Rangers. We'll talk about the selection against Rangers. It's a big question mark if Jamesy starts. I mean, Abada and Jota on that form are undroppable.
Beaton's going to be out now, isn't he? For picking up the red card. McCarthy, I don't know how he was after that tackle, mate, because that was
a sending off for me. Out of control. Off, yep.
It's...
By the way, I'm not talking about Beaton's. I'm talking about the one against McCarthy. That's a red card for me.
Beaton's a second yellow.
Glass.
Taylor's filled.
That's the frustration. That's the frustration, Lawrence.
Aye, it's clearing, mate.
Before the event. Yes. We'll talk about Taylor as well, because that was the second time in 5 minutes he'd lost possession needlessly. Right. He was filled, absolutely, but he's lost possession and he's lost it in a very dangerous area of the park. Then you're putting Beaton under pressure, and he's pulled the guy down.
I think he needs to,
right, and it's a booking, right? But the frustration is that he's been put in that situation. So I've given Beaton stick after the red card against Midtjylland, after the red card against Rangers last season. I thought, you're better than that, you're more experienced than that. There's a defender behind you, you don't have to bring him down, right? But That's all in the past now, because he's come onto a great patch of form, playing in his preferred position, Lawrence. And for me, he's actually pivotal. He's captain in the side now. He's frustrated going off, right? Waving his arms because he knows that the free kick should have been given earlier to Greg Taylor. So that's my frustration. I can't give Beaton a hard time.
Listen, mate, both those yellow cards, that's his experience. He's picking up those yellow cards, isn't he? And he's stalwart for his first one. And he needs to pull the boy down there. He knows that. And he knows he's going off. But yeah, it's frustrating that Taylor's... It's just... Mate, the refs just decided not to give up. Who knows why? Is it because it's in a dangerous position?
Mate, there was at least two niggles on Taylor. At least two.
The boy's just right into the back and knocks him over, and you're going, well...
It's a free kick all day long.
It's...
Absolutely. Burkey, the first half team selection was wrong. I think if we're sitting here at nothing each, then that's a bigger point of discussion. But... the changes that were made were so effective when you look at, Jurhanovic's part in that second half as well, Lawrence, right? And the ball that he plays in. And also Jota tearing it up. Abada being able to switch. It just gave us far more options up top. Were you in any kind of fear at any point in that second half that we were going to lose the game?
No, we were going to lose, no. But the chances we were missing, it was, you were beginning to think... We should have put that one away. As
I said, we'll get to Giakoumakis. I don't want to turn this into an anti-GG show. I'm as feeling as elated as everybody else about the fact that we won the game. We will have a wee look at some of the negatives.
The changes, they worked. And brilliant to see, mate, the confidence that boy's got. And he was just combining the boys for fun, wasn't he? He
was. And just...
He's shown early. He's trying to get them turned. He's doing everything right.
I'm going to have a look because someone told me earlier that he hadn't long turned 16, right? And if that's the case, and if this boy...
Just perhaps Jack Aitchison then?
Well, I'm thinking that there's a potential that he is the youngest player if he's come on there, but he turned 16 in November. Wow. He's turned 16. I've had to look at that and skew my eyes just to make sure I've not got that wrong. Ben Doak turned 16 in November. He's 16 and 2 months old. That's astonishing. There was actual talk when he appeared on the bench earlier in the season that some of the English big guns have already been alerted to this boy's progress and they're interested in him. And you obviously then look up to the stands and you see Brendan Rodgers is there. We are always going to be that type of club, Lawrence, where as soon as somebody breaks in, I mean, even Hatate, tearing it up, or Kyogo or Jota, who we haven't gotten a permanent deal yet. These players, if not now, eventually will get that kind of attention.
I think it's the worrying how regularly we're using our youth stars, isn't it? Angelini went down, the keeper.
Yeah.
2 boys to Bayern Munich. We're losing a lot of the stars of the youth team. And we really want to get the benefit of them. Ange's got the guy that's going to give them a chance.
Well, you've just taken the words out of my mouth, right? So all those names that we've spoken about, 2 players lost to Bayern Munich, Angelini, Davy Hayes' grandson, away down to Watford. We've had players going to Liverpool, Blackburn Rovers. And we've had even like Okoflex and Hjeld going to West Ham and Leeds United. Okoflex obviously had some first-team experience. Hjeld hadn't yet when he left. Couple of pre-season friendlies. What Ange has done, which other managers didn't do during the time of all those guys we've mentioned, he's given them a first-team game.
Yep.
He's had him on the bench for 2 games. He's actually given him a game.
So hopefully the young boys saying, we can get some time here.
There's a pathway there.
We can get a game. Mm-hmm. It's not going to stunt our career staying here. Because I think by the time Ange came in, Hjeld had made his decision, hadn't he?
I think so, yeah. I think, his dad's a professional or an ex-pro. He knows how the game works. He played with Nottingham Forest. He's gone to Ross County, had a good spell. Before you know it, John Hughes is blowing smoke up his proverbial, going on about him being like Van Dijk. He believes the hype. He's a talented player by all accounts. We got a 7-figure sum for him when he went into Leeds United. But there is the bright lights, but there's also that question around, Lawrence, what's the right time for a player to go down south? A lot of players go down there and disappear. Listen,
they've got to manage their career, haven't they? I mean, look at our former favourite, Paddy Roberts. He went from Fulham to Man City. Never gets a game for them. Then is he just signed for Sunderland now? So he's on one wing, McGeady in the other. But that's a boy who's got to go, well, where's my career went?
It's gone nowhere.
And it's going nowhere. Other players that go down and never kick a ball.
Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
Islam Farouz.
I know. He's, I think, only 25 years of age. Now, there's a good point coming in from Mick, because as well as enjoying that, and you'll be able to hear it in our voices, and obviously you've got a couple of holes in the front of your jeans as well, Lawrence, because you were on your knees praying with your top off, swinging it around your head. We're looking ahead a wee bit to Wednesday. Mick R comes in, could do with Rogic and Maeda back for Wednesday. There was a hint in the press conference that Ange gave that might be the case. I tell you what, we probably need one or both of them back for Wednesday now.
Yeah, hopefully Desmond gets his private jet out there and flies them in.
Who else has got private jets that we know? Bono? I think U2 had one, didn't they?
Possibly, mate.
Could you send
possibly.
That out?
Yeah, those eco warriors, U2 having a private jet, would they? Yeah, you know.
Contradiction there. But yes, we'll run through some of the performances. I thought Joe Hart, you know, he's one of these guys who often will have to go through a whole game and just be completely aware because he's not actually going to have much to do. But I think what he does do is he instills a confidence. I mean, half his defence is changing, but he instills a confidence in the back line that we didn't have last season.
Yep. And listen, it was one of the balls he just decided to play it long, remember? Up the line. Cracking ball. But it was the right ball, you know, a wee bit of variation to the play.
Yep. Not
to the centre-backs or the full-backs. I'm going to knock it back amongst each other. But let's get the game stretched straight away.
And by the way, that was it. It was Hart to Abada, and it completely changed the fact we were on the back foot at that point. And then what do? Do you play 12 passes in amongst your centre half area? No, Hart's seen the ball. He's seen the out ball. He plays them in. You've then got Dundee United on the back foot, and it's that classic defence to attack transition. And I don't say that's the long ball game. I don't. You're picking a pass it.
Aye. Listen. You've got your variation in your play. You can't be too predictable. Mm-hmm. You know, teams will learn how to play against it. And as you say, Hart's seen it. He knows it's the right ball.
Especially at that stage of the game. Because I'm not saying we were predictable, but Dundee United were soaking it up. They were soaking up exactly what we were serving up, and Hart's changed it a wee bit. Yeah,
I mean, United were pressing as well. They were happy to let the centre-halves knock the ball between them or up to beat them and then back to them. You know, we weren't going to score from our own third of the pitch, really, or even our own half. So... yeah, it was definitely the right ball, and it's good that Hart can do that. You know, it's good. A battle on the wing, mate, he's just outstanding today.
He was on fire. There's no doubt.
But honestly, Doak, when he came on, I thought he was actually even better on the wing for the minutes that he had. And I know the guy's probably knackered, but Doak was just.
He'll be running on fumes. I think we all do. We love seeing the young players coming through. But what I don't like seeing is when they're thrown in scenarios where it's no ideal or they're maybe just not quite ready for it. So away to St Mirren, we'd known when Muffet was tearing it up in the B team. We'd seen a bit of him in the pre-season. He'd had a couple of games for the first team. But that really wasn't his night, was it? You know, it wasn't the right time for Owen Moffat to start against St Mirren away from home, and it was a stuffy game. Tonight, or today rather, you've got a youngster on the bench and you think, well, if we got a couple of goals up, yeah, we'll bring him on, it's nice and safe. We weren't in that position when we put on Ben Doak.
No, I mean, it wasn't, you wouldn't say it was ideal, but he handled it, didn't he?
He did.
I even more than handled him. He would just, you know, he looks a real prospect, doesn't he? You're thinking, that boy...
What were you doing when you were 16? I had a paper round.
I think I'd have stolen the bars, mate.
I had a paper round. I got it when I was 14, saved up for my first Celtic season ticket. That's what I was doing. I wasn't tearing it up at Celtic Park. So it's absolutely tremendous to see that from any youngster coming through. When you start looking at the... why is it everyone's first thought to take their shirt off? I need to ask Lawrence, because he did exactly the same. He's watching Abada, he's running about the studio, shirt swinging around his head like a madman. But I don't know. It's all right when you've got a build like Abada, I guess, Sean. But I don't know if did he get his jersey back? Did he need a replacement? Was it thrown into the crowd? Who knows? Ryan Taylor, Jota is the star of the show. Simples, yeah, he certainly is. He's the man that I think, no matter what the type of game is, if you need someone to find an opening, Jota will find it. And he did it time and time again. But it does lead us on, and we've not spoken about the performance of O'Reilly that we need to come back to. It brings us on to some of the chances that were being created and not being taken. Now, the other week there, listen, we're going to park this. It's just a subjective discussion. The other week there, you and I came in for a bit of flack because of our post-match around the chat around Giakoumakis. So all I'm going to say is, in the second half, Giakoumakis 46 minutes in, he runs the ball out the park. 52 minutes in, poor first touch and we lose possession. 65, he's got a shot that's saved by Siegrist. They should do better. Great pass by Jota. 68 minutes, bad touch, loses possession. 70 minutes, the bad miss. And on 79 minutes, bad first touch, loses possession. 82, he's taken off. That's all I'm saying. That was a poor performance, okay? So I would love for him to have scored a couple of goals today going into Wednesday night. But I just think that there are occasions where that first touch that we've seen that Abada taking the ball down, right, when it really matters, Giakoumakis needs to have that. He needs to have that in the box.
Look, mate, definitely. Listen, we all want him to do well. We want him to give answer to the problem of you can't drop me. Mm-hmm. It's now, can we start him? You know, if you're an opposition keeper, do you think he's going to score against you? Would you fancy your chances of saving? I think you would. You know, and it can't always be, great tackle with Butcher, great save by Siegrist. He's got to be better than his opposite number. He's got to do better.
Siegrist is a decent goalie. We know that. He's performed well against us, Lawrence, but it's not asking the keeper to make a save. You know, when you're 12 yards out and firing the ball wide. Now, incidentally, against Hearts, the goal washes all that away, and I get it. But in the first half, high and wide, you got an opportunity high and wide. So, yeah, I'd still think, though, and this is a big question, Lawrence, I still think he'll start against Rangers.
It's either him or Abada through the middle, isn't it?
Of course, Maeda might give you a different option, but as we sit here, I think Giakoumakis still starts on Wednesday. I mean, what's your thoughts on that going into that game?
I wouldn't start, mate, no. I wouldn't. Hopefully Maeda's back. It's just, I know he's not a lot of game time, mate, but it's just things like his touch. You know, as you touched on, with Abada, he's set himself with that touch.
Does he look confident?
It kind of runs away from him when he's touch a lot, doesn't it? And then he's left stretching for it.
And then you can't actually execute the chance. You know, if the ball's there, and therefore we're seeing the ball going wide more often than not. The first touch against Hearts, it's a goal. The first touch against Alloa, it's a goal. It's when he's asked to do what Abada did there, bring it down. And the chance is still on. When he tries to bring it down, the chance is lost. That's the concern. If Maeda isn't back, then you're talking about playing Abada centre, Forrest right, Jota left. And that's why I think there's a bit of a lack of balance there, in terms of Abada going through the middle and Forrest on the right. I think Giakoumakis will still start on Wednesday. What do you think in the comments? We have got 1,700 live watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch and Twitter. Lawrence doesn't think Giakoumakis will start on Wednesday night.
Could always start Bulk on the right, mate.
You imagine that against Rangers? Oh,
mate, the boys get pasted.
Didn't Peter Grant make his debut against Rangers as a 17-year-old? That's a big, big task for the boy, Doak. Very impressed with him today.
They've got a slow defence.
Ryan Kelly comes in. Ben Doak, 16 in November there. Happy we put faith in him. If things aren't going well in a game like that, then we should be taking chances on prospects like him. I'm sometimes of the other view. You play it a wee bit safer. You're 3 or 4 goals up against Dundee or St Mirren. Bring on a couple of youngsters. There was absolutely no wiggle room for him today. Pressure was on. Win the game for us. And he came on and he was part of that since he came on the park, which was tremendous. I don't think he'll start against Rangers. It would be a tremendous experience for him just on the bench, Lawrence, even if he doesn't get in, into the action. I think it'll be a great experience.
I don't think he's done his chances any harm. He's shown an outball. He was getting the guys turned with his pace. Rangers have got a slow defence. Why not?
Elmop comes in, 12 goals this season, and Abada isn't consistent. There's been a lot of talk about inconsistency. I mean, 12 goals, and there's also assists in there as well. I think it's fair to say, as a winger, sometimes, the consistency question, it's a difficult one because if you're playing through the centre and you're involved in a game, McGregor, for example, he must have more touches than anybody else in a Celtic jersey. The 2 centre-halves have always got the ball. On the wing, it's not always like that, Lawrence. I know we're trying to get the players in, but sometimes it hasn't worked out for him. I actually prefer him with Ralston.
You're always asking him to do something to beat a man. You know what I mean? He's always got to perform. Carter Vickers and Starfelt, passing it between each other's not as much pressure, is it? He's only 20 years of age. What a return we're getting for the guy. If he came through our youth, we'd be going wild about him.
He's ancient compared to Ben Doak.
I think Rodgers was probably up having a look at him. Said that before kick-off, mate. And I think, Abada for his return, I think it's phenomenal.
Oh, it is, and I'm going to double check. I mean, he's an Israeli cap already, and he won his first cap at the age of 19 for Israel's national side. He's now got 5 caps, and as well as the goals, he's set 8 up. So he's been involved in 20 goals for Celtic this season as a 20-year-old. That was his 35th game for the club. But as I say, I mean, if you're going to talk about consistency, I think the most consistent winger we've got is Jota. Very rarely does Jota come off that park having not created, having not had an excellent game. We have missed him. He's got to start on Wednesday night, though, doesn't he? Yeah,
got to start Jota. As you said, you know he'll make chances for you. It's just having somebody that can finish them, isn't it? It's having the confidence that put a chance in front of him, he's going to hit the target, at least.
Well, Facebook user comes in. There's a wee registration process. Therefore, I don't know your name or your picture's not showing up. But thanks for getting involved on Facebook. He or she thinks that Forrest has lost his place now on Wednesday. This is a big question. The last 5 minutes discussion, 1,800 watching live. How do we line up, right? Because I'll give you my take on it. Joe Hart picks himself. We don't know for sure if Rogic and Maeda's back, so I'm going to pick this team without them, Lawrence, until we know. Sometimes we won't know. I remember in Europe, McGregor and Kyogo appearing on the team sheet against Leverkusen, and we didn't expect him to be in. So that might happen. So at the moment, I'm going Hart, right and left. You know what? I'm going Ralston and Juranovic. Ralston right back, Juranovic left back. I don't think that Taylor or Scales has shown me enough at left back. I would rather play Juranovic out of position on the left-hand side. Centre half, Starfelt, Cameron Carter-Vickers all day long. You're missing Beaton now. So there's a big question in the midfield, Lawrence. Who do you play in there as a number 6? Hatate, you're happy with him. I mean, he wasn't as influential today, but you're still happy with his performance. O'Reilly, best player in the park for me today. Your number 6, well, looking by the team lines, the first choice back up is James McCarthy at the moment, isn't he?
Yep.
So he comes in.
Listen, as long as he's fit after that tackle, I think he starts.
Well, it was against Dundee United that knocked him the last time, just as he was coming back in, wasn't it?
Yep.
And up top, people might think they're surprised at this, but I would play Giakoumakis through the middle, Jota on the left, Abada on the right. That's my starting lineup.
Jota on the left, Abada through the middle, and I'd start Dolk.
You'd start. That's bold.
Start, mate.
That is bold.
Mate, and I'm hoping Ange is bold enough to do that because I think his pace would terrify.
You know, my concern with that, mate, in recent times, Mikey Johnson's been thrown in against Rangers a couple of times. Lewis Morgan was thrown in against Rangers as well. Maybe the circumstances weren't ideal and they kind of suffered from that performance. I wouldn't like to do that. I wouldn't like to put that level of pressure on a kid like Ben Doak.
So, you know, they were asked to play through the middle by themselves, weren't they? And they weren't strikers. So I think asking Doak to play right wing, I think he'll handle it, mate. I would honestly start him.
Joe, did I just say mate? I don't know, but if I did, right, it's Andy's fault, right? It's Andy's fault, Joe. Did I say mate? I don't know. I think sometimes when Andy says mate, he means something else. Because he's normally saying it after he's been asked a question from a journalist that he doesn't really want to answer. So come on, in you come with your suggestions. How do we line up on Wednesday night? We've got Raymond Dogg saying that Scales plays like he's under pressure. I wasn't that impressed with Scales today. I have been a big fan. I was concerned when he came in that he probably would not feature that much in the side. He's came in pretty quickly. I think he's had a few good performances. His distribution seems good down the left. But today, it's really emphasised, I think, the need for a first pick left back. And in the meantime, myself, and I know a lot of people might disagree with this, I would actually play with Josip Juranovic on the left at the moment until somebody better comes in.
Mate, I think Scales looked laboured today. More laboured than he's ever looked for us. So, yeah, I don't think he starts, but I'd start Taylor. I think there's a better balance to the team. And Juranovic on the right.
Johnny Ryan points out Ralston's first touch today was awful. There was one occasion where Ralston lost the ball, but he bloody won it again. There was 2 guys coming and he just went through them like a steamroller. Yeah, I think I noticed that against Alloa as well, though. And it might just come down to the fact that he's been in and out of the side. I mean, if you even go back to the League Cup final, he was left out. So he's been in and out for a couple of months now. Has Ralston been tried at left back? Not to my knowledge. I think.
For Scotland, I think.
Did he?
I think that's where Connor's played left back, didn't he?
Did he replaced Kieran Tierney? That's a good point. That's a good point, actually. Yeah, he replaced Kieran Tierney. I'm bringing this one up because, just to remind everybody that we do stream on Twitch. People prefer certain platforms. I like watching streams on YouTube. Some people like Twitch, etc. That's why we go across the board. The majority of people watch it on YouTube, but Wilster92 comes in via Twitch. Rogic needs to play in form, and the Sefco, the Rangers are afraid of what he can do. Well, Rogic's had some big performances against Rangers, isn't he? I think if he and Maeda come back, that's more likely to happen, that they'll be thrown in than someone like Ben Doak. I think that would be the,
Listen, if they're back, Maeda leads the line, a bad out in the right, isn't it?
I definitely would, yeah. Aye.
And Rogic starts, who gives way for him in midfield? I don't think it's O'Reilly. I think I'd probably start with McCarthy, and Rio would be on the bench.
Taylor was immense today. I think my issue with Taylor today was he lost the possession too often. He lost possession leading up, and by the way, I thought it was an infringement, but he shouldn't have lost possession leading up to Beaton's red card. And 5 minutes before it, he loses possession needlessly.
But when he was fouled for leading up to Beaton's red card, you knew you needed to get rid of that ball quickly, and he tried to take the touch on it, didn't it? But listen, going forward, he was making up the yards. I thought he gives a much better balance. I would start Taylor, mate. I'd start my left back and Juranovic at right.
John Sweeney, we need to bring in a midfielder before Wednesday. Well, John, if you want to ask Ange Postecoglou if he's bringing anybody else in, you're a braver man than me, because he reckons that we've done all our spending. Although Ange knows what he's doing when it comes to media, and he can tell them what he wants to tell them. You know, he's already said that we weren't bringing anybody else in, and we're bringing O'Reilly. And I want to talk about O'Reilly just to close off the show. I think today I didn't see who the man of the match was, but for me, he was head and shoulders. I mean, there's a player coming in there at £1.5 million. I've said this week, Lawrence, we're paying 1990s transfer fees for these players.
It's just his passes were changing the pace of the game.
Yeah.
He's getting it forward early. He's unlucky with his glancing header. Yeah, it was great. It's just, his corners, the deliveries, the balls were looking going, somebody attack that, because they look decent balls in. It's just we're lacking someone that can attack these crosses.
Mm-hmm. Kaiser comes in, didn't know we were on Twitch, but he's dropped us a follow. Thank you very much for getting involved. Then we've got Kevin Crawford coming in, saying that we can't say Scales was laboured and say Ralston wasn't great, as he hasn't been playing recently. The same rules apply. Well, Scales hasn't had much games. Yeah, I get that, absolutely. I'm not looking to single anyone out. I just think that there is an issue with one position on that park where it's difficult to pick your strongest player, and the position at the moment is left back. If we buy someone in, I think we'll have an upgrade. If we buy a left back in, we'll go for a Juranovic kind of level player. But at this moment in time, I don't think we do. So it's really a toss-up between Taylor and Scales on Wednesday night. And personally, I give you how I would play. I think Ange will play Taylor on Wednesday night.
Yeah, Taylor,
Juranovic at right back. I think that's how we'll start.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if it was me, and my rationale is, and everybody knows I like Ralston, so it's no favouritism. But I just think Ralston at right and Juranovic at left. There's always going to be a bit of a misbalance when somebody's playing out of position. But I tell you what, Juranovic played well today as well when he came on.
You've got Starfelt, right-hand-sided centre-half playing left-hand-sided centre-half. Then you've got to play a right-back at left-back. So you're really unbalanced, mate.
You really are. Yeah, I get that, absolutely. And I don't think that's going to change in terms of Starfelt, because you're not going to move Carter Vickers anytime soon. We're about 2,000 live on the stream, so maybe we should just run for another couple of minutes, because we haven't spoken enough about O'Reilly. How impressed have you been with this kid? Calling him a kid. We've got a guy who's 5 years younger than him coming on.
Where's it? Ange's finding these players. The guy just...
It's proper scouting, Lawrence.
How long's he had with the team? He just doesn't look out of place, mate, does he? And £1.5 million. And we spoke about it earlier, the amount of money we wasted on guys at £3-4 million that don't... Listen, we've got two we're trying to get rid of. Let's see, and Barkas and Ayeti.
Yeah.
They come nowhere near.
No.
O'Reilly.
No, absolutely not. When I said it comes down to proper scouting, what I was meaning by that is, I was mentioning this earlier on in the week, that we've got a very specific game plan under Ange Postecoglou, and there are a certain collection of statistics and figures that a player will require that criteria to come in and flourish in Ange's team. So when we talk about, he doesn't look like an Ange signing, because that's been said a lot. It's been said a lot about McCarthy, for example. It's because his makeup doesn't fit the makeup of Ange's game plan. And that's where I think we've really done well in January, whereby every player we brought in, it's almost as if they're a perfect fit for Angie's team. From what I've seen, I've not seen much of Maeda, but I liked what I've seen. Ideguchi kicked off the park in his first game. I think that he'll fit in, maybe not as good or as effective as Hatate has been so far. But these players have obviously come in, and I think O'Reilly fits that mould as well. I think in the past, there's been so many players come in, and it's all down to a recruitment system that relies heavily on who is actually, promoting certain players to the club. And a lot of that's down to agents. So, forget preferred agents, get that out the road. That doesn't work. We know what happens when you're buying a Bio and a Klamala, and I could go through the £2.5 to £3.5 million players that were bought down the years. Let's buy players where the data tells us they will fit this high intensity play and the performance and the fitness levels as well, and the ground covered. All these players that have come in fit Angie's mould in January, and I think that's why O'Reilly and that have hit the ground running.
Listen, mate, I don't think there's anything wrong with a preferred agent that delivers for you. He's got to get players that fit your mould. That's what you should be saying to the agents. Look, this is the type of player we're looking for, not just taking who they have and who they're trying to push onto you. So, yeah, listen, Angie's just been a wizard in the transfer market so far, hasn't he?
Well, you just tend to believe him. His judgment, you trust his judgment. There was an interview during the week. There's some tremendous interviews get pulled out from Celtic alternative media sites, and there was an interview with Sviatchenko, and he was talking about an opportunity to come back to Celtic. I'm not deliberately not crediting whoever interviewed them because I can't think off the top of my head, but fair play for getting the interview. And he says that it was Ange that blocked the move. So he's obviously got that influence. Jason Lee, that was a career-defining goal for Abada. Have people had their doubts about Abada?
I think he comes in for a fair bit of stick. Unfairly, though, but I think a lot of players come in for it unfairly, like Starfelt, Taylor. Yeah. Other players, I think, get stick fairly.
You almost said Giacomakis.
No. Other players get stick, I think, fairly, but other people will think unfairly. But yeah, I think he gets a fair bit of stick. But we forget the guy's over 20 and handing 20 goals, either scoring or assisting so far this season.
Well, the thing with stick, though, everybody comes into this from the perspective of we want to see Celtic being as good as they possibly can be as a football club and as a team performing on the park. So when you're giving someone what's perceived to be stick, you're pointing out criticisms of his game. I've not gone in two-footed on Giacomakis today because I'm delighted with the result. And I think that come Wednesday, he might have to play centre forward. He's a number 7, but he'll be playing the number 9 position, the traditional number 9 position. But when you look at the actual involvement in the game, and this isn't data analysis, this is just observational notes on a game-to-game basis. And there's 5 or 6 things that could have done better in the second half, Lawrence. I don't see that as negativity. It's just, he didn't have a great game.
No, listen, I think a lot of the frustration is his first touch when he's trying to kill a ball. And he just doesn't seem to have that a lot of the time, or not at a level you'd expect him to be. The one he ran the ball at the park, who knows what happened there?
Well, it was obviously there was a wee tough, though. There was something to do with the groundsman,
Yeah. Mate, yeah. Does he put the fear into the opposition centre-halves or the opposition keeper? I would say no. And I think we need a centre-forward that does that.
We will see what the situation is on Wednesday night when the team lines come out about an hour before the game. Cool Daddy. Cameron Carter-Vickers is the man of the season, in brackets, so far. Couldn't really argue with that. I think his level of consistency has been incredible. And as much as there is a furore over Jota's future, let's not forget Carter-Vickers. He's as important, just in a different way, Lawrence. At the back, we've been crying out for a centre-half with that level of composure. He doesn't look like a fast player. He never seems hurried. He never seems to do things quickly. He just goes about his business, wins everything in the air. He was up against Tony Watt, who's a big physical player now, which surprises me because he was a skinny wee laddie at Celtic, Big physical player now. He gets in and about the centre-halves, but he took that no problem whatsoever. So I think that Cameron Carter-Vickers is up there with Joe Hart. He's up there in terms of importance with McGregor. He's that type of player, that level of importance.
You can't see Julian getting back in, can you? I
at the moment.
What level Julian's going to be at after 13 months, but it's his position, because he's a right-hand sided centre-half, it's Carter-Vickers' position he's going to be going for.
Michael reckons that GG will get under the skin of McGregor, as in Rangers McGregor. My words, he will get sent off McGregor. We'll see. I mean, listen, it all comes down to the options available on Wednesday. If Maeda is available, it gives a nice dilemma to Ange Postecoglou. If not, then I reckon Giakoumakis will start the game. Brilliant. We've been up at 2,000 live today. It's obviously a nice positive way to finish your Saturday night or start your Saturday night. Celtic defeat Dundee United, and you have a wee glance at that league table. There's 2 points in it. If we win on Wednesday night, we're top of the table. It's all in our hands. We can be the architects of our own destiny, Lawrence Connolly. All that's left for me to say, thank you everybody for getting involved. It's been tremendous today to see so many of you tuning in to the Matchday Bulletin. If you're on YouTube, get yourself subscribed on there. Tomorrow at 12:30 will be our exclusive interview with Alan Tomo Thompson. Lovely fella, Tomo. I think he's doing the live circuit now, so you might get a chance to go and see him live. Good humour, good insight into the game, good coaching career behind him and hopefully ahead of him as well. So tune in at 12:30 for that. All that's left for me to say, Lawrence Connolly, once again, thanks for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.